Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for spending some time with me tonight. I really appreciate that. And I want to give you my best baits for searching for fish in the month of April. Now, I'm still going to have a chatterbait tied on. I'm still going to have a square bill tied on. I'm still going to have a spinnerbait tied on. But my three main baits I'm throwing when I'm not dragging a soft plastic is very important because there are a couple magic windows that I feel like open and you can just load the boat on these baits. So the first one would be a swim jig. Now, a swim jig is one of those baits that when I'm around fish in the pre-spawn, I think it's a great bait to keep in your rotation, run it through the spot a couple times because it is really a different look than a chatterbait. But a swim jig is one of those magic baits when the water hits 60 degrees and you have a lot of fish that are going to spawn. You have some that are post-spawn, some that are pre-spawn, and for whatever reason, a swim jig becomes a tool that you really are going to see win a lot of tournaments when that water gets in the high 50s, low 60s. And I think it's right before those fish move on bed. For whatever reason, a swim jig is just their favorite deal. I like to pair it up with something, some kicking action on there. And it seems like you rig this up with braid on a heavier rod and pulse it on top. Some people call it the Alabama shake. It's one of those magic baits where you really will see some big fish come out of nowhere to eat it. And it just tricks them because usually when they eat this, they choke it. It's the best possible way you can get them to bite it. And for whatever reason, magic bait when the water hits 58 degrees. So now if I'm on a highland reservoir, I like to turn to a buzzbait. I feel like a buzzbait that has a gold blade, has that jingling sound, just seems like it gets bit more than buzzbaits that don't have that sound. And I like rigging it up with a swim bait. Now you can rig up a horny toad. I've caught a lot of fish on the horny toad. The swim bait for me seems like it stays on there a little bit better. So I'm gonna just line it up. Black head, black bait. If I'm throwing a white one, I'll go with a white head. But just rig it up, thread it on the hook. And it seems like the skirt for me has become obsolete. You know, a skirt was what every buzzbait was, used for all those years. And it just seems like it skips better with some kind of plastic on it. It, if the fish grabs it, it seems like they can get it a little bit better. There's more for them to hang on to. You don't lose as many fish. So the skirt has become obsolete for me. If I'm going to fish a buzzbait, I'm going to have some type of soft plastic on there for quite a few reasons. But anytime on a highland reservoir, any type of lake with a lot of low-hanging trees, stuff like that, I want to be fishing fast, but I want to be efficient. This bait skips unbelievable. You can fish it around docks. You can skip it under docks and really just cover a lot of water. If you don't have a ton of cover in the water, this is a great bait to just move. Get down the bank, cover a lot of water. This is great. You have water that's falling. A buzzbait is great on falling water. So buzzbait, one of my favorites on highland reservoirs. Now the last one, if I'm fishing a lake with a lot of vegetation in it, a frog is going to be what I'm fishing. But now what tends to happen is a frog will get a lot of short strikes. So you got to have something to come behind with, and for me that is going to be a swim jig. So the black and blue swim jig is usually what I start with, but if you start seeing a lot of shad, maybe there is a shad spawn going on, definitely try white, but it's going to be black and blue or white. That's pretty much what I'm doing. There are some bluegill variations. You've seen a lot of bluegill and stuff. Try to get your swim jig to be as close to that, but you can't go wrong with the black and blue in my opinion. So that's what I'm covering water with. Now in April, there's a lot of fish spawning. So I'm going to have my wacky rig rigged up. I'm going to have a Texas style Cinco rigged up, probably a speed worm with like a 3/16 ounce weight, and then some type of flipping bait with like a beaver or a cross style on there with, a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce weight. So when I'm looking for them, these are the baits that I'm looking for. But once I start getting bit, typically you will have a bunch of fish in one area. That's when I'll slow down with the soft plastics. You're going to be catching a lot of those spawners with the soft plastics. So, and one last thing with these baits. Now, let's say you're covering a bunch of water and you're just not getting bit. That may mean that the entire lake the fish are spawning. So you might have to slow down everywhere you go with soft plastics, because I've seen that happen before where they just will not bite moving baits. But typically, if there's one moving bait that they will bite in the month of April, it's going to be a swim jig. So swim jig, a buzzbait really gets them aggravated. They will sometimes hit that as well. And then the frog, they can't stand it. Spawning fish, post spawn, whatever it may be, they will eat a frog as well. So those are my April baits. You better have them tied on. Keep your March baits tied on for the next month or so, but start implementing these new baits as the fish begin to spawn. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the water.